Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Breaking down the teams you're passionate about. This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It is that time of year where the Jazz wrap up the regular season. No playoffs. It's been a minute, and it's locker room cleanout day. Used to be a big event that's kind of tapered off a little bit simply because players don't really like talking to the media. Back in the day, it used to not be an option. Now players kind of flexing a little bit, say, I don't really want to be a part of this.
Would also help if they had their last game was at home.
At home, that certainly helps too.
It hasn't happened since 2019.
Really?
Yeah, I actually went and looked to see when the last time they played at home, and I think it was before the pandemic.
Because there's most guys will just, instead of taking the charter back home, they'll just catch a flight and just be out.
So that's another big reason because they're not coming back to.
That's a solid point. Yeah. Interesting. So you do hear from a lot of the front office, and Austin Ainge, now the president of basketball operations for the Utah Jazz, had a chance to step up to the media. Here is his end-of-season evaluation and the preview of the offseason from, again, the president of the Utah Jazz, Austin Ainge.
I just wanted to say I am very grateful, feeling very grateful for for a lot of things, but our fans this year were incredible. They showed up, and we're just very grateful, and hopefully they can see the path we're on, the excitement for the young players, and some of the optimism we have going forward. I'm very grateful for our coaching staff. They pushed at the right times. They lifted up and showed love at the right times. I thought they did a tremendous job with our group this year. Our veteran players really set an example of work ethic and also ensured our culture and positivity in the locker room maintained throughout a long year. And then our young players, of course, were humble enough to accept a lot of coaching and advice and worked really hard. And I thought pushed through some ups and downs and made some real progress that helps us as an organization. That internal growth was key for us this year. To make the steps we want to make, and we feel very optimistic and hopeful about the team that we can have next year and the options we have to add to it this summer. With that, I'll take questions.
Would missing the postseason next year be a disappointment?
I'm going to focus on the process right now, Sarah. We've got a lot to prove. We've got a big summer ahead of us. Our players and our front office. Players have to get a lot better and continue to work. And our front office, we have some key free agents and a lot of other things to finish out our roster to know where we stand.
A couple of those key free agents, Nurk and Kevin, they've made it pretty publicly known that they would love to be back here. I'm wondering how much of a priority is it not only to maybe get that figured out, but also to have veterans of that caliber on this roster?
I would say that we're always balancing the on-court needs with the locker room and leadership needs. Those guys were incredible for us all year, and I thought they both played well on the court. But yeah, look, Walker, Nurk, Kevin are all free agents, and that's a lot of bigs, so we're going to need some bigs for sure.
Where's the team's relationship with Walker right now?
Had a great meeting with Walker yesterday. He had a tough year of rehabbing, and I was so proud of him and how he showed up. He was usually here at 8 a.m. doing his rehab, and on the treadmill and doing what he could with the various limitations. He showed up with a smile every day. We're big fans, but we got to figure it out this summer with the contract.
What have you seen from Ace's development, and what do you project him to be next year as you kind of look for a developmental offseason?
Yeah, Ace, I will just smile thinking about him. He just brings a smile to my face. He's just a happy person. He brings energy every day, and that made it easy to work with. And everyone on the team wanted to help Ace because he made it easy. He's got that golden retriever type personality that he's first and foremost. When we talk with Ace about the summer, it's the weight room. He's going to live in there, and he's excited about it. Anytime, we talk to him a lot about strength, and anytime he can bump anyone and make a shot, he makes sure and tells me about it after the game and flexes and all that. So he knows he's going to work really hard to get stronger. And then, defense is going to be a team-wide goal for us this summer. So every guy's been, told that we're making a big leap next year defensively. No discussion. This is what's going to happen. And so that'll be a focus for his. And then I think looking at our team, again, we have a lot to figure out still, but I would say ball handling will be the other thing that a lot of guys will need to improve on, and Ace also.
One of the big league-wide discussions this year, and that will be in the coming weeks, are the anti-taking policies that the league's trying to implement soon.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what you think of sort of the proposed policies that have come out and how those might affect non-destination teams, how they might affect trades.
Yeah. It's been really interesting few weeks. We've had a lot of dialogue with the NBA and with other teams. The NBA we have, we're competitors, but we're also partners. And so we've had a lot of interesting discussions. There's some really good ideas and proposals out there. We're still trying to narrow those all down as a group. We had a good general managers meeting, and then there's been countless calls and texts and spreadsheets sent back and forth with things between teams. I'm optimistic that we'll, with the NBA is pushing us in the right direction, and that we'll have a solution that we're looking at short-term and long-term solutions, and I'm optimistic with some of the proposals.
With Cody and Bryce and Flip and Ace and now another lottery pick potentially coming in, how do they match with an older group that is ready to win right now? And can you have two timelines? Do you have a glut of young players?
It's a great question. There are, we have 18-man rosters now, and not every young player may get to play. It's going to be a competition for minutes, but I believe a lot of those young guys have proven that they can play in the NBA this year. And they've, this year we were able to let them play through some ups and downs, and a lot of them have found themselves in the NBA where they can function. And so we're optimistic that a lot of them can contribute to winning teams.
Do you feel like you have the personnel on this roster right now to maximize a guy like Jaren Jackson Jr.? Do you want to bring somebody in to play off of him? And how do you feel about his role right now?
I think we have a lot of good players that Jaren can play with and that he can help. And he's such a versatile, easy guy. He can defend and shoot and pass, and I think he fits a lot of teams, which is a lot of his value. He's a really, really good player, but he can play with a lot of different types of players as well. I think we have a lot to work with. I think Jaren has the tools he needs to have a great year next year.
Do you know yet when the league is doing the coin flip?
I believe it's the 20th, or give or take a day. The league didn't tell me that. Someone internally said that, and I haven't verified it, but I think that's more or less where it's at.
How would you characterize kind of how you guys are going to approach the off season and free agency and trying to maybe add to the team? Aggressive? Careful?
Yeah, I mean, those lines are difficult, right? It usually depends on opportunity, Sarah, but I would say that we are, we made a big move with Jaron, and that, we started this season with potentially a lot of cap space this summer, and now Jaron was kind of our big move, and so I would say we'll always be aggressive, looking to improve the team, but unless amazing opportunities present themselves, we don't have tons of cap space that way, right? It'll be more additive players.
Along those lines, could you see signing maybe some of the third-year guys to earlier extensions than you did Walker?
We'll look at all that stuff, yeah. We'll try to be strategic, but it always depends on the values, man.
How are you viewing this year's draft and where you guys are positioned if you end up at the top 8 spot?
I think it's a very good draft. We'll see what kind of luck we have and where we end up, but there's a lot of ways to add to our team, and the draft is one very important one, but it's not the only avenue.
Do you think that the season is too long?
You're asking me on 4 hours sleep.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's an interesting thing to discussion points. I'm not aware of any serious discussions on that topic right now. I think we've had a very successful league with huge interest for 50 years with this amount of games, so I think it's working pretty well.
Between Keontae's jump and Lowry's jump, and were you surprised at maybe how quickly the team got moving and winning games earlier this year?
Yeah, I would say maybe a little bit, yeah. I mean, we had this tremendous summer. These young guys worked really hard. We felt very proud of the work they put in, but you never, I personally always start with kind of lower expectations and like to be surprised, and so we saw a lot of growth in the summer, but you never really know how it applies into the games, and yeah, we were very happy with the big jump Keontae made, and had a good talk with him in an exit meeting yesterday, and I think that he even has more to go. I think there's more steps he can take. Obviously, no one peaks at 22, so we think he has even more to grow.
There are a lot of people who think, 4 years, the rebuild's over, you don't have a draft pick next year, can't find yourself in the same situation you have been. How do you view where you are in this rebuild and kind of the trajectory of the team?
Yeah, I don't like to set, exact expectations, because sometimes they can add pressure, but sometimes they can be limiting. So I want the guys to focus on the process, but I do feel like we can make a good leap next year. But it'll depend how everyone comes together, but our guys are really motivated. Lowry and Jaron are great leaders and great guys, and they're really excited to take kind of that mantle this summer to make sure everyone comes together and we win next year. They're really motivated to be a part of something like that, and I'm really excited for them.
We often talk about culture, but it's also the balance of on-court needs and leadership. What would you say are the non-negotiables when it comes to building out this roster?
There's a lot. I mean, we want guys that aren't about themselves, that are about the group, that will play winning basketball and accept coaching and play the right way and act the right way would be the shortest way to say it. And I feel like we have a very good base of that. It'll be it's a big summer project to finish out this team in a way that we can add on both of those on and off the court.
You mentioned that you don't want to add pressure expectations, whether or not you want to. There will be more scrutiny, probably more eyes, more expectations from the outside. How much do you think that you're going to learn about the guys under kind of a different lens.
Yeah, we're so excited for some expectations. We know, I mean, we always feel it, right? The fans that I mentioned, they're so awesome, and we feel so much responsibility to them. And so we've always had, from Ryan and Ashley on down, we know that we have a special place, and we want to put a great product out for our fans, a team they can be proud of. So we know that, we need to make some progress, and we think we have some pieces to do so. But yeah, it'll be a different feel, and the players know it, and they're very excited for that opportunity as well.
Between Bez, Hayden, and Anderson Garcia, it seems like maybe you guys were mining for perimeter defensive players.
Yeah.
Do you think that's accurate, and is that an area you're going to be focused on this summer?
Yeah, I think it's an area of need, potentially, right? We'll see how things go in the draft and other things, but for sure it was intentional.
Where do John and Spee kind of equal into what the future plans are?
They are good players and good leaders and set a great example and can both defend. And so they're right in there. We need guys like them. We need them. So we're excited to have them in our program.
How did you see Will continue to grow as a head coach, and just how did your relationship with him get stronger throughout the year?
Will is a really talented coach. He was an amazing partner this year. We talk, I don't know how many times every day, and it's been just a joy to go through this with him. This is a tough year, and it could have been with all of our injuries and everything. It could have been. It would have been a lot harder if I didn't have Bill to go through it with. So he's a great partner, and I'm very, very glad that we have him on our side and leading our program. I thought he did a great job of getting really hard on the guys when things weren't going how he wanted, and then having meetings where he shared jokes and taught stories and current events and asked guys how they knew what was going on in Iran or in these types of things. Will has a great feel for the guys and what they need, and I'm very glad we have him.
Do you think that you're going to see a different side of him next year?
I think the situation requires different behaviors and tactics, and so I trust Will have the feel and figure out which buttons he needs to push at different times. But he will be Will.
There you go. That is Austin Ainge, president of the Utah Jazz. You heard about his relationship with Will Hardy. You'll hear from Will Hardy coming up next. And then we'll switch gears, talk a little hockey with Jay Stevens at 2:05 because we got to get the Mammoth out of this rut. And who better than the good luck charm, Jay Stevens? When Jay comes on the show, Mammoth wins. So it's that simple. All right. So we will chat with him coming up at 2:05. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This guy actually has friends. Nice. This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You ready to get some of that Bar W beef? Well, we will be down on remote. Now, not in Nephi, mind you. No, we will be at a pop-up location, the Cal Ranch store in Spanish Fork, 950 North Main Street. We'll be down there on Wednesday, and it's your chance to load up on some Bar W beef. Great opportunity. Those pop-up events are awesome. So if you can't get down to Nephi, load up.
If I send you with some cash.
I got you.
Okay. All right.
I got you.
Okay. Let's talk afterwards.
We'll get you squared away.
I'm going to send you with some cash so I can load up.
The
deal is unbelievable.
And the problem is, too, look, the savings are great. The beef selection is awesome, but
next to none.
It goes by quick. So I would suggest we're going to be there from 12 to 3. I would suggest you be there as close to 12 as you possibly can. because
I remember actually in the break I tried to talk to you guys about it, about setting some aside from like, sorry, it's gone.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, it's like 1 o'clock. What do you mean?
Yeah, it goes fast. Get those sirloins, you get those ribeyes, even the ground beef goes by quick. So, yeah, you got to get in there quick. Bar W Beef, again, the pop-up location, Cal Ranch store, coming up Wednesday in Spanish Fork, 950 North Main Street. All right, you heard from Austin Ainge, and he talked about his relationship with Will Hardy, how that's developed over the last year. Well, let's hear from the head coach himself. Here is Will Hardy.
Your perspective, successful season, and did you accomplish most of the things you wanted to, more than you wanted to?
Yeah, I think it was for sure a successful year for our group. I think we have a much better understanding now of who we are as a group in this moment. We have a better understanding now of some of our, really all of our players, in particular the young players. I think when we say young players, we're generally talking about the guys on their rookie scale contracts. I think we saw individual improvement from everybody. I think it helps us, again, have a better understanding of where we are as we look towards the future now. But also very proud of the way the team conducted themselves every day. They came to work. They took feedback. They really gelled as a group. Like, you guys were around our team a lot. We had an incredible spirit of the group this year. So overall, I thought it was certainly a success.
A lot of the guys, when we talk to them, are not secretive about the fact that they're like, yeah, we can make the playoffs next year. Like, that's the goal that they're looking at. I mean, Lowry's chomping at the bit to just get there one time, you know.
Right.
Do you think that this roster is capable of making it to the postseason in the Western Conference?
Well, I mean, we don't know what that roster is going to be opening day next year.
If it was as constructed.
I don't know. I really don't. We've, Jaron played 2 games with us. We didn't have Walker during that time. There's a lot of circumstances that go into projecting win totals in playoffs or not. I think certainly it'll be great to have expectations. I think it'll be great to be able to put the group out there and see where we stack up. You know, I think we all want to improve. I think we're very capable of improving and taking a step forward. How big that step is, I don't know yet. There's so many factors that are not in our control as it relates to everybody else when you start stacking yourselves up. But I'm glad the guys are excited, though. Like, I want them to have that mindset as they go into their summer work. Goals, things in the distance to look at and to kind of hunt, I think is good for everybody's competitive spirit.
When we talk to them, especially the young guys that we're talking about, often when we ask them kind of in exit interview settings what they want to work on this summer, the general answer from all of them is everything. I want to work on everything. We talked to you about that before. So maybe Ace, Keontae, where are the biggest kind of areas for them to hone in on?
Ace's body is first and foremost. We talked a little bit yesterday about, with young players, the biggest gap you're trying to bridge early is the physical one. Ace is an incredible athlete. He's also young. And so I think for him to try to take this offseason and really dig into his body is very important. And then I think he and Keontae, it's going to be about your individual defense. We're going to have to take a huge step in that area, and before a collective group can take a step forward on the defensive side, every person has to take a step forward. that means your one-on-one defense. That means your understanding of scheme. That means your ability to play at a disadvantage, play 1 versus 2 and make choices. You know, personnel comes into effect a lot, but you know, using the word expectation that you asked about earlier, I have a high expectation for those two in their off season. You have to do the work, and you can say that you want certain things. You can say, I have expectations next year of X, Y, and Z, and those things are all great to say. But those two, the rest of our locker room, myself, our coaching staff, like we all have work to do this summer. And that way when we get back together as a team, you know, you get to sort of show off some of the things that you worked on, and it also shows the rest of the group that you're willing to do the things necessary to improve. So I have high expectations for their work this summer.
With Jaron only playing 2 games, how clear how clear are you on his role next year, and what have those discussions been like between you and him with envisioning that next year? I
think the discussions have been frequent and will continue to be frequent. In this moment, the clarity is not great. I have plenty of ideas. I have plenty of concepts that I think will be very good for him, but I think any coach would tell you it all looks good on the board. Like, we're all really smart in a meeting, but you got to get the guys on the floor, and you got to let them show you a little bit too, like what's possible. I think one thing that we have done very well as an organization, and I want to give our coaching staff credit, is that we have not put players in a box here. We have tried to really explore the depth of possibility with all of our players, and Jaron's no different. He has, you know, he has enough of a career behind him that he has a reputation, and so we all envision one thing. But I'd like to see if there's more. I think that's always our vision as a staff is, you know, you don't want to make the team a laboratory, but you do need to test certain things to see what's possible, because these guys are, the talent level in our league has never been higher. And I just think there's so much context to basketball in particular in terms of style of play and who your teammates are and what your role is and what that allows you to show. I mean, we saw that this year with our young players. As they got more opportunity and they got sort of moved up the pecking order in a game, you saw some things that maybe you hadn't seen before. So Jaron will be no different.
Between Walker and Jaron, if Walker's back, you seem like you have good rim deterrence. Mm-hmm. Where is that as a starting spot for the defense next season?
Huge. I think protecting the rim and owning the backboard, you know, is a really good place to start. The possession battle in our league is extremely important. You see different ways to attack that. There's forcing turnovers, and then there's the rebounding margin. And I think that if those two guys are together, hopefully we can do a good job of both, but it's not going to just be them. We've seen and learned a lot about it takes an entire team to protect the rim. It takes a collective mindset to protect the rim, and it takes a lot of relentlessness to rebound in our league now. The crashing is going up from your opponents, and you know, with the amount of threes that are shot, the variety of bounce is up. So it's going to take the whole group, but those two would be a good starting point.
We talked a lot this year about how your message to the group last year was that no one's going to come in and save them. Mm-hmm. Is it a similar message this year? Have you changed the message for them heading into the offseason?
No. No, I have not changed it. Yes, the message is the same. We have to operate every day like this is it. And that's the mindset. And or if something changes, that's a different story. But I want all of our players to envision that next year is a breakout year for them. You know, every good player, every great player in our league has had a quote-unquote breakout season. Happens at different points for different people, but I would like for all of our players to be thinking that it could be them. I felt like going back to last summer, it was what drove Keontae. And the other guys worked just as hard. It's not that Keontae worked harder than anybody else, but he ended up having, you know, a little bit of a mini breakout season for himself. And it's because of the work he put in. So I expect that from everybody this summer.
Guys like Nerd and Kevin, do you do any advocating to maybe bring them back or to have veterans of that caliber on the roster?
Yeah, I think it's more nuanced than just advocating. I think you have to give real, honest perspective on what people bring to the group. You talk about the things that they added in our locker room, on the floor, away from the court, the way they handled the other veterans, the way they handled the young players, because the decisions aren't just as simple as like, we love Kevin and we love Nurk. If it was that simple, man, it would be a lot easier to deal with the ebbs and flows of roster movement in this league. You know, especially as a coach, like you get attached to these guys, like you do. We're in it together. We're with them every day. You build real relationships. You know, I've been fortunate to coach a bunch of guys who you kind of have two layers of the relationship. You've got the coach-player one, and then you've got the human-to-human one. And so, yeah, I think you sort of advocate for all the guys in different ways. But it's really just about making sure we understand all of the factors. Like, here are all the things they bring as we look to put together the best group that we can. You know, there are a lot of different ways to do it, but yeah, I'm a big fan of those two guys. I think what they did for our group this year, it can't be measured, but if you've been around our team, you definitely feel it every day.
How did Keontae's breakout that you mentioned, I guess, kind of open up things for the roster and then change the trajectory as far as the willingness to like kind of move out of this phase that you guys have been in for a few years?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I think it was more, it gave us the feeling of we have a really good young player in our program. I don't know if Keontae is, you know, the reason why we did anything. I think it was more a lot of excitement for us that we were developing somebody internally who can really help us going forward. I do think Keontae, and the way that he plays, he can play with a lot of different people, which is also exciting as a coach. But I wouldn't say that, you know, because of Keontae's breakout year is why we did X, Y, or Z.
One of the things that I asked Keontae was if he thought that we were going to see a different side of you next year. And without skipping a beat, he was like, oh yeah. Because I think that, you know, with a healthy roster and with the additions to the roster and what could potentially be possible, I think that he sees it as you wanting to win just as much as everyone else, and that he'll see kind of more of that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that there's truth to that?
I mean, I've been here 4 years. Do you guys not think that you've seen all sides of me at this point?
I don't.
No?
No.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure if the dosage may be different on certain things, but I feel like I've been pretty open and honest with the team and with you guys throughout my time here. You know, Keontae's probably nervous. but that would be appropriate. Yeah.
There you go. By the way, props to Sarah Todd. Not messing around.
No.
Austin Ainge, like, I'm on 4 hours of sleep. She's like, so am I.
I am too.
And she probably flew back commercial, whereas Austin was probably on a charter. So, yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Props to Sarah. Not putting up with that nonsense. Nah, I'm only joking about the nonsense. But, that was it's interesting when you talk to some of these guys after a season. Sometimes it's the season's over. Sometimes guys are mad. Sometimes they're angry. Sometimes they're relieved. There's always a wide range of emotions from players and coaches after the season comes to an end. It is weird, though, and it's a weird vibe. And I'll even just use myself as a broadcaster. And look, the college season's way, way shorter than the NBA. But you go. And I was just telling Maddie this, our social media wizard there in the back, like you spend all year from football to basketball. So essentially from late August to middle of March. So kind of roughly the same time as an NBA season, although the NBA's got 82 and, college football and basketball, you're looking at maybe combined 50 games. But everything is about the next broadcast. Everything's about the next prep. Everything's about you go. And then all of a sudden it's like you ram your car going 60 miles an hour into a concrete barricade. It just, bam, stops. And you're like, whoa, what? Like this last weekend, first weekend in forever where I'm like, I don't know. What am I supposed to be doing with myself here? Like, I guess some yard work, I guess.
Even that feels a little out of place. Doesn't feel like I should.
Go to Bed Bath & Beyond if we have time.
We got time. What are you wearing?
I just it's a weird vibe. So I can't imagine. So times that by 1,000 if you're an NBA coach or an NBA player, where your life is all about prep. Your life is all about practice. Your life is all about individual games. And then it just stops. And if you're a player, a lot of guys probably stayed put in L.A., or they may have caught a plane to go to Cabo, or who knows, wherever they went. But I think a lot of these players are like, all right, we're good. We're done here. And then there's a lot of others that are just like, I don't know how to proceed here. So it's a lot. It's a really interesting conundrum that a lot of guys get into where they're just not exactly sure how to go forward. And I think even though you see Will Hardy, he's in year 4 of being in the NBA, but I'm sure this offseason is going to feel very, very different than other off seasons he's had in the past. All right, KSL, Sports Zone, and Beehive Mills, honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer for the Beehive Mills Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contest. Then listen every Thursday afternoon as JJ and Alex will announce the winner. It's the Beehive Mills Hero of the Week right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you might not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
You're locked on to Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, make sure to tune in all day on Wednesday. Well, you should be listening every day, but in particular on Wednesday, because we got tickets to give away. This week, win a pair of Brit Floyd, the Pink Floyd tribute band. Tickets for June 6th at 7:30 at the Maverick Center. If you want to be part of that, all you have to do is be caller number 12 when we ask you, not now, on Wednesday, for your chance to win tickets. That's tax day, too, so make sure to get your house in order on the 15th. No bueno.
We'll remind you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. The Masters was spectacular. Coming down the stretch, you got a ton of drama. And when you got Scotty and Rory going toe-to-toe, and a couple other guys too, but when you saw that putt on 17 from Scotty, you thought it was going down, right?
Yeah.
We all did.
Yes, absolutely.
We absolutely did. That was perfect speed. Looked like the line was perfect. We were that close to coming away from a potential playoff between Scotty and Rory, and you couldn't ask for a better matchup in a playoff.
It was such an up and down tournament as far as the leaderboard kept changing.
Yes.
You had Rory was leading at one point. Justin Rose was leading at one point. You had Cameron Young leading at one point. Scheffler wasn't ever leading, I don't believe, but he was right there.
Yeah.
I mean, if he birdied 18 and got to 12 under, that probably puts a little extra pressure on Rory, who sent it off to the right on 18. Apparently, he ended up a little bit better. I was very surprised he was able to get it to the bunker from where he was at.
I know.
But it's pretty impressive. So, yeah.
It was fun, and that's the thing. All you want is drama on a Sunday, and you certainly got that. And Rory now back-to-back championships. I'm curious to know, next time we chat with Brian and Bob, if the vibe is that Rory's going to just tank it the rest of the year. Because that's what he did last year. Won the Masters and then just...
I hope not. Go out there and try to insert yourself and be dominant, like Tiger Woods dominant.
And I think that...
I love seeing somebody like that.
And I bet... I don't know if you'll see that dominance level, but I think you'll see a better Rory the rest of the way just because...
Well, I honestly thought he was actually going to, because at one point, and he ended up, when he was 12 under and the next closest was 600, I'm like, he's running away.
Oh, yeah.
That was on Friday, I think it was. He's going to run away and win this thing going away.
Oops.
Like Tiger Woods style, I thought.
Nope.
No.
But, hey, I'm glad because I didn't want to see Sunday golf with some guy leading by 7 strokes on the final 9 holes. So I think you're going to see a Rory that's going to finish the year, or I guess the year just started, but continue throughout the season much better than what we saw last year. I think, look, you get to a certain point in your life where you accomplish something big, and Rory last year in the Masters got the career Grand Slam, and there was a certain element of whew, I did it. Well, now what am I going to do with my life? And you can go one of two ways. You can rip off a bunch of wins because the pressure's off you, or you just be like, I'm gonna enjoy this a little bit.
Pretty cool, by the way, that he had his mom and dad there. He didn't last year because I think there was a feeling that they were constantly putting the pressure on him to do that. So, and the fact that he was able to go win it in front of his parents was actually pretty cool.
But I think you'll see much better golf from Rory the rest of the season as opposed to what we saw last year.
I'd agree.
Look, Scotty Scheffler's a machine. I know that there's not the huge personalities that we saw back in the day with Tiger and Phil, but I do think from a talent level, there's some good golf out there.
There's some good golf.
Is it boring golf?
Even my guy, Xander Schauffele, who I absolutely love his golf game, but he's boring.
Yeah, they're all kind of like
he's
Rory.
boring.
When Rory's the most exciting guy out there.
There's just got to be some personality, and it's not there. And Bryson, I'm sorry, he'll even he tries to give you some personality, he's a bonehead. There is nothing interesting about him. And his 3D printed 5-wood that he's got, apparently that stock took a hit.
Yeah.
I'm just like there's just nothing interesting about him. They're just not that golfer. Even when Brooks Koepka was winning, he was boring. There's nobody interesting. There's just not.
I like how Scotty tried to be like the bad guy for a little bit with the media. And it's like, that's a stupid question. Like, okay, Scotty, you're not that guy.
No, you're not.
We know you want to be that, but you want to inject a little bit of personality. Your PR person said, why don't you snap at a reporter a little bit? That'll get you out there.
Getting arrested isn't enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Scotty, now we need something else from you.
Okay, the arrest thing didn't really stick that much, so let's try to snap at a reporter. And it's just like, that's a stupid question. Next question. Like, okay, no, you're trying too hard. That's not genuine. Deep down, he's like, I need to apologize to this guy afterwards.
I'm sorry.
My PR guy made me do that. It was actually a really well-stated question. All right, 2:01, coming up, final hour of the program. Let's talk Mammoth. Where's your concern level with this Mammoth team? Hey, look, you made the playoffs. You won 5 in a row. Things were looking great. Big win over Edmonton, a statement win, and then things have kind of fallen off a bit. Are you carrying any momentum into the postseason? Jay Stevens will break that down for us next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.